everyone, and welcome to not another episode of Voices of Hult, but to a live here, our first live here in LinkedIn. That is exciting. I'm right here with two marvelous girlies because, it's March, and we had to do something. We were thinking, like, what are we going to do to commemorate and celebrate women this month of March, right? And we said, what a better thing than just get a little bit of a taste of what women inside the business industry is like. So we have experts here, and I'm not going to introduce them because I want them to tell you who they are by themselves. But yeah, if you don't know me, I'm Daniela. You should know me because I'm always on this Voices of Hope cameras. But if you don't, it's great to see you again, or great to see you for the first time. And now I'm just going to let them introduce themselves. And welcome to this space of just sharing some girl power moves.
Go first.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Maria Alonzo, and I am a marketing major for the BVA program here at Hult. I am the HSA president, and I just want to thank you, Daniela, for having me here. This is a very special talk for both of us, Lisa and I, and I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lisa. I did my first master's in international business. Now I'm doing my second program in business analytics, and I'm about to graduate. I'm actually finishing tomorrow, but I'm very excited to be here.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I'm also global president of the Hult Consulting Club, and also the president here in Boston specifically, as this is our biggest campus. And I'm very excited to be here today and see how this conversation goes.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Thank you, girls, for introducing yourselves. And basically, let's start saying why business? How did you ended up in an industry that you knew was going to be hard? Because unluckily, it's very dominated by men. So how did you end up here and to like this path in this career?
Yeah, I can take that right now. I feel like first of all, I didn't knew what I wanted to study. Like, I was in between so many different pathways, from going into nutrition, going into art. And it was that exact kind of indecisiveness that led me to business, because I feel like it's that one career path that doesn't necessarily dictate your future. Is that one like industry that you can actually go so many different ways. And for me, something that I knew at the in the long term perspective is that I wanted to create like my very own restaurant back home in Dominican Republic. And business was like, it seemed like the right choice for me. It is. And I think that's why I did it, and I felt like it was like a decision really close to my heart. And then in terms of coming here at Holt, I really wanted to break free, like out of my comfort zone, and get out of that same routine back home. And I actually visited this campus back in 2018. I didn't come for a tour, but I saw it when I came for a debate here at Harvard. And I came close, and I fell in love with how it looked. Then COVID came, I started searching for schools, and I actually knew someone that came here. And that's how my journey started, and how I got to know more about Holt. And I just fell in love with its old mantra of bringing so many international students and creating this global space and so many different campus locations as well.
Thank you.
I love that story. I unfortunately don't have such a fun story as to how I came to Hult, but to start with the business question, it's similar for me. I was like in between pathways. I wasn't sure like what I wanted to do, and I knew I had all the opportunities, and like my grandma would have loved to see me go into medicine or something like that, but I knew that wasn't for me. So I felt like business was the right way to get a little bit of everything. And I did international management in my undergrad because I always knew that I wanted to work internationally. And then COVID hit, and I couldn't go abroad during my undergrad, which was kind of contradictory of what I wanted to do. So when the chance came up to go to Hult, I was really excited, but it kind of fell into my lap in a way, because I was just looking for, like, I was exploring different opportunities to continue my master's, and my original plan was to keep studying in Germany. I'm from Germany, by the way. But just do something where I can go abroad for a semester or two. And then while I was looking for these opportunities, Hult came into, like, I think they slid into my inbox, so to say. And I really loved the concept. And so I decided very last minute to come here. I think I applied like 2 months before I started the program. So I wish I could have a story like that. I don't, but I do have the same experience that I really enjoyed my time here, and it's been a great experience. And I think apart from the business hard and soft skills, it's just the experience of studying with people from all different backgrounds that really made it special to me. And I think that that is something we can truly use in our future career as well. Like, I just went through application processes, and it was really helpful to have this understanding for a very diverse set of people that I think can also make us, like all of us in this room, successful in business.
Exactly the same thing that I was gonna ask. You just answered before, but it was exactly that. You were talking about how you ended up in business and then how you ended up at Hult. And I was also going to say that Hult is not only business, but this diverse environment of different nationalities. But it's also important to say, so I was having a conversation exactly this morning with a group of students here, that we're not only diverse environment when it comes to like nationalities, we're also very diverse when it comes to female and male, because we have very diverse class. Like in my class, it's like half and half, I would say. And obviously depends on the major, because there are majors that sadly are more male dominated and that we have to get through that barrier, but we're going to there. We're getting there at some point. But like there are many classes, at least at the beginning, you can see that there are still a lot of females studying business. So if you guys could talk, because I know you're farther away from that, but if you guys could talk to the first year of like the version of you in the first year that didn't really know where to go and decided it was business. Business is the answer. I'm gonna go there. And in your experience, it was your undergrad. So your first year, maybe 18. And in your experience, let's talk about Hult. It was now when you were doing a master's. What would you say to that person now that you are way further away? What would you say to her to inspire her to keep going on this business, on the business industry?
For me, I would say follow your dreams and like never give up. I feel like whenever we want to like, especially like back home in DR, whenever we want to like study abroad, it's very hard like for our families to take that sort of feeling, because they have a lot of like attachment like with their kids. So like due to like culture and different habits, it was very hard for my mom and my dad to like let me break free and like let me become the first version of myself and be more independent. So I feel like in that aspect was very hard convincing them that I was able to do that. So I feel like never giving up and like still following what I knew that I wanted to do is super important, like persevering through those whole times and truly showing other people around you that you don't want this just to like leave home. Like you really want this because you believe in yourself and you believe in the future version of yourself as well. So I feel like staying consistent in that sort of mentality is super important, and showing others that you're doing this out of love and it's always like because you want to do something for yourself, and at the end it would be like really good for you.
Yes, I agree. I would probably tell myself that it will get rough at times, but it's so worth it, and you will, like, past me, will get out of that knowing exactly who you are. And for me, it was less an independency issue. I'd say I've always been quite independent. And I mean, I also came here for my master's, so it's a little different. I think I took that independency step when I moved out at 17 and did my undergrad. But then coming here really allowed me to grow as a person. I actually had my friends visiting from Germany last week, and I spoke to my best friend, and she's known me since I was 5. And she was like, it's so great to see you in this environment because I can tell that now you are truly who you are. And like you've just found for yourself what is the thing that you want to do and who you are as a person, and have like just gained so much confidence through that, but in a good way. And I think that is what it is about. And that for me is the greatest thing I take out of this journey. And I've met great people. I have not felt uncomfortable for a second, honestly. The only time I felt uncomfortable in this whole journey was the first night I arrived. And I woke up jet lagged at 4 a.m. and I was like, what the hell are you going to do tomorrow? Ever since, it has been a great experience. Of course, it has been demanding at times, especially with Amber now, which I guess also taps into your like prejudice of a male domain. But it has been so worth it, and I'm really glad with all the decisions I've made.
Great, thank you. So now that you touch up on that, I want to know specifically you, since you've been into this male-dominated kind of like business field, which is business analytics. How do you feel towards, like, tell us maybe about an experience you had to overcome, or a comment, or just a feeling of not belonging, or feeling like somebody else wants to make you feel uncomfortable in this environment, or just mistreated you differently as you were a girl, and how you might have overcome that situation?
Yeah, so I mean, I must say the environment here is very open usually. And I myself would have never thought I'm doing MBA as a dual degree when I first came here. I knew what my options were, and I was thinking about marketing. Like, I have worked in marketing before. I still do like marketing. I would have probably considered finance. MBA would have been the last thing. But then being here, I realized that everything is shifting towards data, and it's kind of just a super useful hard skill to have, and I wanted that challenge. And I was never scared of it, but there was situations where people actually told me like, oh, but like, why are you doing AMBAN? Isn't that more like a male degree? And I was like, I was not aware that there was such thing, but actually now, and I think you can correct me, but I think we have about 50% females in our cohort. And I love to see that we as women like overcome this conception of, oh, it's a male degree, and actually just like take that as a power or empowerment to thrive in the industry of business, where data is extremely important and that does not have a gender.
Whoop, whoop, girly. Maria, now that you're the HSA president, how has that been, being a girl and having to lead towards men? Have you ever felt like it differentiates you? Because I feel like sometimes it's us. Like, sometimes we put that into our heads. And a lot of times it is an actual thing. Like, it does happen that we do get criticized, or just we are seen as something less because we are girls. But there are other situations where we just put ourselves into that. And it's a little bit of an imposter syndrome, where we think that we are girls, and deep down we're like, this happened to me just because I'm a girl. Or they looked at me, or they just criticized me because I'm a girl, instead of just thinking it's because I'm the leader. So have you ever overcome some kind of like situation having to deal with, I know that it's a lot to take up on the UGHSA, so.
Totally. I feel like during the beginning, like, we're a team of 14 people, so it's a lot to manage. A lot of different personality, age differences, and a lot of different perspectives. And with that comes a lot of challenges. So I feel like at the beginning it was very hard for me, because when you're HSA president, I feel like you need to be the mom of the team. And I don't think I was ready at that point, like mentally prepared for that. Like, that's something that no one tells you. You need to be prepared for everything that's happening to all of these certain individuals. And whenever you're a leader as well, there's always gonna be like male or even other females like trying to come and trying to be the leader. But you know, like, what I always like try to like recognize at the HSA is like, yes, I am the president, but I still want everyone to have a voice, while still keeping the fact that while everyone has a voice, there still need to be someone like trying to lead and organize the team and keep the logistics up. So I feel like that has been like my main like concentration when being part of the HSA, trying to keep up that balance of like, okay, yes, I am a female leader, and at first it was hard. And I think the key for me on top of that was also creating some sort of boundaries, because, you know, like, when you are a female leader, a lot of people are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to just do this because like she's not going to say anything. Well, I will say something, and that's what's going to happen. Like they always feel like, oh, you're going to be passive just because you're a woman or because you're a girl, but the reality behind that is that like we're strong and independent, and we can still do everything a man does. Like, and that's something that I've strengthened like throughout being in the HSA. At the beginning it was hard, but throughout the months you really like establish that, and you get like that confidence of being that person that you want to be.
Exactly. I all the time I love listening when somebody says that being a girl, and people used to say that we are too emotional. I actually sent long time ago for here for Hult wrote an essay about it, and it was about how girls and our emotions are our strength. Like, actually, there are research that proves that emotion is what drives intelligence and rational thinking. Well, either sadly, our society thinks that rational thinking and emotion are not connected, but it's a lie. Our temper can be our power. Can you tell me a situation where you realize that your temper was your power? Like being a girl, it's part of what I am. Like this, I did because I am a girl. Like just because I have this, I'm too emotional. I have a really strong temper.
Well, I would have to think of a situation. Lisa, do you have one?
Probably not a specific situation, but I do think that emotion is strength and power because it enables you to understand your like whoever you're talking to better, and that just enables you to enhance not only the communication, but you can use it. Well, you can use it to enhance teamwork, but you can even use it to your own advantage. Of course, you should do that in a thoughtful way, but you can do it to be persuading, which is definitely power. And there have been situations, especially in the teamwork here at Hult, where I think it has been very beneficial for me to be able to read someone else's emotions in order to make sure that there are no misunderstandings, that we can collaborate better, but also in a way like find the right balance between supporting them, but also giving them some boundaries, as you had mentioned before, and not letting them just like step all over you. Um, Honestly, I've never seen that as an issue of like being a woman. I don't think I've ever been insecure about being a woman, and I love that, and I want that for everyone.
Hopefully, yes.
But it's just about you as a person. Like, I think that applies to everyone. If you know who you are and you set your own boundaries, but you combine that with having the ability or the emotional intelligence, and that term, by the way, I think is great because it does combine emotion and intelligence, which you said many people believe are like contradictive.
Exactly.
Yes. So I think if you do have the emotional intelligence while also knowing who you are as a person, that gives you the power to be a great leader, regardless of the gender in this case.
I also really agree with that fact that you said with emotional intelligence, because like when I was a bit younger, like during high school, I was way more emotional than I am now. And I used to take everything like super personal. Like someone would say something to me, I will feel like, okay, yeah, this person doesn't like me. And I feel like during the years you build what Lisa said, like emotional intelligence. It's all about, okay, yeah, you're feeling some type of way, but you know like when to like react to all of these emotions and to not just like have this sort of reaction in front of everyone. So trying to control them more so. And I feel like emotional intelligence helps a lot because you are able to have this sort of balance, like, okay, yes, I'm feeling this way, but how am I going to act with all of this that's happening inside me? And that's super important when you're dealing with different type of people, and when you're also like this sort of leader, woman leader as well, is crucial in any sort of team environment.
Exactly. I understand that everyone can share experiences that you have shared here and feel identified by what these girls have said. So thank you very much for being here tonight. But before we leave, I need to ask you for some advice because obviously you have experience. a little bit maybe more than the other in the professional field. But in life, I know that we always have something to share, especially when it comes to other girls. So maybe something that you want to share that you think just is inspiring to other girls out there that are doubting themselves or doubting that they're capable to come into a male dominated industry, and you are vivid examples that it is totally possible, and more than possible is amazing, and you can do it amazingly and happily, because you see they're not sad and complaining about it. They've just take it as the female leaders they are, and not scared of what is coming, but just willing to fight about it. So can you give some advice to our listeners and watchers?
Yes, I would say like my main advice and something that has helped me throughout my journey is staying true to myself and being my most authentic self. I think that's super important because along this like trying to be like being a woman and also trying to be a leader comes a lot of like trying to fit in within what society within the expectations of society. And I always felt like one of my main strengths is that I am like like I'm just myself. Like when you are authentic, you actually are showing that to everyone else, and people notice it because you're being genuine and you're being your very own self without being scared of what other people are going to think. And when you have that sort of empowerment of okay, like I'm like this, I talk a lot, I am very involved, I'm outgoing, okay, those are my strengths, you know. And trying to understand that yes, you're not going to be good at everything, you're not going to be the best at everything, but you have a lot of strengths and you should use them for your own self and to also help others. I think that that's where you find like okay, like you know, I don't need to be feeling bad about like being a woman or being some certain type of way, because all of those certain aspects and characteristics is what makes us who we are, and that is the main strength. So I feel like being authentic and staying authentic even when you are super successful in the long-term perspective is super important. Like never change because now you're have more money or now you have this sort of power. Like stay true to that. Like I would say to me, like stay true to that Maria that first wanted to be here, and for everyone else, like stay true to that own person that like thought that you would be here at Holt or that you would have that certain position, because I feel like that's like what gets you like keep going over time. And also people will notice that okay, yeah, like she's been that way since the very beginning, so you know it really marks a different.
I think both of you said it very well. It will be hard to add on to that. One piece of advice from me, also for myself, honestly, would be to put yourself out there. If you had asked me 1 year ago, or you would have told me 1 year ago that I would sit here right now, I would have laughed at your face. I'm like, let me be very honest. And I was always like, I knew what I was doing. I knew who I was, kind of, but I wasn't super confident. I wasn't friends with everyone, and I like that. I still do. I still think it's nice to have your like inner circle of people that you're actually close to. But I would have not put myself out there. Coming from Europe, at least I think it is a very European thing. Networking is the worst thing you can think about. It is not. It does not come natural to us. And when I first came here, I was like, "There's no way. Like, I cannot do that." But now that I've been here for so long and I've gone through different phases of my studies, but also taking over the consulting club, for example, I just had to put myself out there. And it really helped me, first of all, to meet great people. And that's not only students, that is faculty, staff, that is industry experts, everyone. But also, it has helped me find myself by putting myself out there and seeing the responses that people have to the where you are. And that leads back to your point of like, just be authentic and use who you are as your strength, because it is your strength. And for me, that was really what got me here, and it's still a learning process, I would say. But it would be the kind of advice to add on to what the two of you had already said, which I think is great advice.
Thank you, girls. So, yeah, life is a process. You know, it's just a path that never ends, and you're going to keep growing. I think you never stop growing. We're like plants. We're always, always, always growing. But I am very thankful to having you here. Thank you for sharing those amazing thoughts and for inspiring so many people, because sometimes we just don't think we've made that much. Like I've had to tell people like, hey, do you know you're making change? And they're like, not really. I'm just going to college. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to college, but you're a girl going to business school. That's not much. And I'm like, you don't think that's much, but you inspire other people that maybe were scared of doing it. Maybe we're scared of not just doing business as a girl, but as a girl in business, as an international student, going to a very competitive city like Boston, and understanding that, yeah, we've done this and we do it every day and we might be used to it, but we don't understand that we are actually impacting others people's lives. So thank you very much for sharing your journey and for sharing all your thoughts. Really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so now that we are saying goodbye to this beautiful two guests, we have two more. I'm really excited, guys, because these two guests will also be an addition to this amazing conversation. Like, if you thought this couldn't get better, you're wrong. You're just wrong. This could get better, and it's getting better right now. So, dun, 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 dun.
Perfect.
Can you speak to yourselves? Can you try the mic?
Test,
Hello.
test.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so welcome back. If you went for popcorn or a glass of water, welcome back. We're back here. So right now I have two more amazing females here with me, sitting down. And as I did with Maria and Lisa, I'm just gonna let you guys introduce yourselves, because I feel like you're just gonna be more authentic. So, who are you? Two strangers.
Go ahead, Daira.
Well, hi, my name is Daira Fernandez. I'm from Monterrey, Mexico. I graduated actually last summer from the undergrad program, did marketing and psychology, and now just starting the master's in finance. I'm currently doing that. Oh, I'm also the president of Women in Business. Woo! Yeah.
Well, I'm Sara Abou Fakher. I'm the program dean for the Masters of Business Analytics and the Masters of International Business. I've been at Hult for 7 years and a half now. Yeah, and thank you for having us. Thank you for
Thank you guys
being
for
here. also.
coming. I know I'm like all excited because we've been here for like 30 minutes and I'm like, okay, let's do this fast and let's do this good, because I know they have so many things to say, and I just want you guys to know all the amazing stories these girls have to share. So first, let's start with Daira because she started. So let's just keep going with her. Tell us a little bit more about what is Women in Business and why Women in Business, because maybe our viewers are not from Hult and they have no idea what it is.
Yeah, so Women in Business is actually a club that started before I even came to Hult in 2020. It started because it was a group of girls that actually saw this issue of women not being as represented in the business field as we would want to. And so it just is a group to have the purpose of inspiring and just joining forces with other women that also want to meet women that want to inspire each other. And this has been going on since 2018, I think. And we do a lot of events inviting other women in different fields like marketing, finance. We also do panels and activities. Like, for example, I think you came to the gingerbread house competition.
I did. It was so fun, guys.
So
I won. I won a prize.
Yeah.
It was the funniest house because it was so disgustingly funny. it was so horrible but when they called me, it was like I felt like it was an Oscar. So it was so nice. It was a really good night. And I love this environment where I feel like sometimes we have this kind of gaps, and it's just that we don't feel support inside of an industry like this, like business, And having a club like Women in Business where they just do this kind of events, and it's not only like professional events where you can also get those, like they do panels and other events where you can do like networking nights, for example, or LinkedIn headshots like we were doing the other day. And those professional activities mixed with these events that are more informal are really important because you feel like you have sisters. You know, you feel this sisterhood inside of this industry that sometimes can feel overwhelming as a female, and sometimes can feel very competitive, not just as a female, but as a human in general. The business industry is going so fast each and every day. It's always changing and evolving, and it's kind of like drowning. Sometimes you can feel like you're getting drowned by all of this competition, and now you have to be in biotech, and now you have to know about AI, and now you have to know about coding, because if you don't, then you're out. And, you know, you have to know a lot more than you might thought at the beginning. So I think that having this industry where we can just something like a space like Women in Business where you can just sit and meet people and talk to them about it. Like, I'm so tired about this homework. Like, yeah, me too. And you just don't feel alone. You feel like you have a supporting system. I love when we have activities in Women in Business and I see men inside, because it means that they also care about what we're doing. And I remember that we were sharing about at the beginning of the year, we did this first kind of event of fall 2023, and there was a guy, and he was like, I'm sorry, I'm here, maybe I don't want to be weird, I'm just here because I want to like get to know more girls and their experiences, and I want to be part of this because I feel like I can help with anything. I feel like I can help, and I want to be aware of what is going on, aware of why you might feel uncomfortable that other men are doing, so I don't repeat that pattern. And that's just amazing.
And that's great, because that's also what all of this is. It's part of diversity and it's inclusion. And without this type of initiatives, then there's no inclusion really.
Exactly.
So it is great to have that space.
And those are the basics of Hult. Like, I think that diversity and inclusion, not only about nationalities, but it's also important to highlight everything, including that it's not only like, it's also gender diversity. But talking about gender diversity and powerful females, we have Dean Sara here, and I want to hear everything about it. How did you end up here, and how does it feel to tell people, hello, I am the dean, the program dean of business analytics? How is that reaction?
Goodness, well, it has been quite a journey. I would say that I never thought that I was going to be sitting here. If you speak to me, I don't know, 10 years ago, I started, even my career, I was just speaking with a student, and my career, it started with being in a pharmaceutical company. So that's what I did when I graduated from my bachelor's. And then when I moved so I'm from Venezuela and I'm also Lebanese. So I moved to Lebanon and I lived in Lebanon for 5 years. And when I was there, I was presented with another opportunity of being, education or pharmaceutical, and I picked education at that time. And this is where education journey started. After that, I moved to Dubai, and in Dubai, I started with Hult from the beginning. So that was around 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago, and it was a teaching assistant position when I first started. Then went to registrar. After that, I did registry with program manager, and then I moved to Boston 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. So yeah. It's been quite a journey. It's been exciting, and I think a lot of inspiration from both leadership and from as well the students. We have students that are not only here just as playing that role of students, but those women that are daughters, they are wives, they are moms. They do all that and manage to do all of that at the same time beautifully. So I think those are the representation of strong women as well that inspires you. And I think that's my motivation when it comes to being the dean and seeing the growth in each one of them.
Thank you very much. I think that for us as students, it's just really inspiring to see another woman being capable of doing what is mostly expected from men, like being the leader of something that has to do with anything that's powerful in academia, especially when you connect numbers. People think that men are math and girls has to do something like being a teacher of a preschool or maybe going into the medical field. And of course, there's a still position of powers, but I don't think there's such thing like girl careers or boy careers neither. So, going to that approach, I would love for you, both of you, to tell me a story where you felt like being a girl was your superpower. Like, I am capable of doing this because I am a girl and I am proud of it.
Every day. All right. So I can start. I do have a story in mind, but I think before saying the story, I think it's important when we speak about women leadership. It's this piece of connecting not only intellectually but also from the human side. And we need to change or shift that mindset of just seeing that human connection, that emotion connection. I know that you spoke about emotions before as something that it's weak, and instead it is a strong trait that we have, and it is what makes us step up in many situations. I can remember a story that when I went to represent a campus dean at one time in a space, and I went to represent Hult. I was so nervous, and I received this call from a leadership faculty, Dr. Amanda. She calls me and she tells me, "Hey, you're gonna do great. You're gonna expect that this room is gonna be filled of men, and you're probably going to be the only woman representing the school. And you're going to do amazing. You're going to bring innovation. You're going to bring your own spark, and you're going to do this and that." And that's what I needed at that time, when I first started. And it boosted my energy, and I went in there, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I got this. This is Holt. This is us. And it was great. And we never know how much a call or, as you said, sharing our stories can inspire other people. And this is actually an invitation. I think we all should. It's through our stories that we make a difference, and it is important, especially when it comes to women leadership.
I totally agree. And that is why it's important for us to have you guys here, because it's sharing your story has more power than we might think.
Mm-hmm.
Telling other people about it, it's amazing. I used to be the leader of the big club at my school, and I remember this girl. She's a year younger than me, and the other day I received a DM from her, and she was like, "Hey, I have to tell you, you're like the biggest inspiration that I've ever had, and I have to thank you because," and she was telling me about where she's planning to go to college and how she's applying, and I cried because I was like, I can't believe she's telling me this, because I've never thought about myself like that. I went through school and I just did my thing, and I came here and I worked hard to get here, but I never thought somebody was looking at me. And she was watching me, and I didn't know that there was someone else looking up to me, looking up to my actions, what I did, what I didn't do, and feeling that kind of inspiration and being that kind of inspiration to someone else just keeps me pushing hard and being like, I want to be better to keep inspiring girls like you.
Yeah, and this is something that us as women, we don't give a lot of credit for our own selves. I think we are our big limitations, if anything, and we should break free of that. Of those maybe social expectations that that become self expectations, and we don't see those traits, and we should. This is a skill, and this is something that you should use your voice for as well.
Yeah, I honestly agree with both of you. I think also touching on something very important, it's actually a good coincidence that we all have Latino backgrounds. But well, I'm from Mexico, and so being a woman in Mexico Mexico is one of the most machista countries in Latin America, which is man-centric. And for me and my family, it was never heard of anyone studying abroad. And not even that, just having a degree, right now pursuing my master's in something related to finance. Like, that was never unheard of in my family. And for example, I'm a big sister, and I'm also the oldest cousin in my dad's side. And I can hear my sister and my cousin looking up to me and being like, wow, like, you actually did it. Because I always said it to my uncles, my aunts, my mom, my dad, but they never kind of believed me. You know how they say, like, oh, yeah, sure. You'll do it. And then once you actually pursue it, and I got it, I came here, I moved here. I was the first cousin ever to study abroad. It was kind of shocking. And I think even being a woman inside the family, it caused like a change in perspective. Like, we always saw upon our cousins and growing up, especially in previous years, that it was just a lot more closed-minded, and everyone just kind of changed perspective. And so I think that really changed something inside of my community that made me feel like, wow, something happened here.
And she's totally right. You know, it's important, thank you, to do that. To touch that it's not only about being a girl, but also coming from a very traditional background, like Latin American countries, still very traditional in some kind of ways. And I remember also coming like to this family thing. My parents knew I wanted to come here, and they've always been my biggest supporters. And they knew I was coming. Like, people always doubted myself, but both my parents were like, nah, she's making it. And I remember when it got time, like, I'm packing my suitcase, I'm going, and my mom was so proud telling people, like telling her closest friends, like, she's studying abroad, she's going to Boston. And I remember people just discouraging my parents. Like, are you going to let an alone girl, I wasn't even 18 yet, I was 17. They were like, she's 17 years old and she's a girl. Are you going to let her go alone? And my mom was like, either she was a girl or a boy. She is very capable of doing that. And I trust my child and I raise her. So I know who she is. And she's very independent and she's going to face challenges, obviously. And she's going to get homesick. Yes, she will. But she'll be capable of overcoming and achieving any that she put her minds into. And especially to my dad, you know, because he is the man. Like, oh, she's going to find a boyfriend and she's going to get married and she's going to just marry someone for the visa and she's going to forget about studying. And my dad was like, just don't say anything like that. You don't know my daughter. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's sad to see that still in our countries in the 21st century, in 2024, there are still people who think about that, who think that you're coming to the States. And when I used to say, like, I'm going to the States to study, oh, you're going to marry someone and stay there. And it's like, that's the first thing you think about? No, that's not what I'm thinking about. I don't need a man to achieve my professional, my professional aspirations. I can do it by myself.
It's those social expectations. It's what my dad always says. There's nothing a boy can do that a woman cannot. And for me, I have kind of the same. My family were my biggest supporter. I moved to the U.S. I was 16 when I graduated high school. And it was difficult. Imagine listening from society that piece of, but you're a woman and you're going to go live on your own.
How? And even telling your parents, like, how are you letting her?
Like judging your own parents, judging their own decisions, like telling them as if they were bad parents because they're letting you just follow your dreams and be independent as a woman. And that is powerful. We have to be thankful at least we had that kind of support, because sadly there are girls that do not have that kind of support from their parents and have to just like be a rebel into doing this kind of things. So now, girls, if we've listened to that, I always ask this because for me, it's really important. You've shared about your experience and we've listened to our previous guests too. But I want to know, what would you say to someone else that is just listening right now and might be just coming to their undergrad or maybe changing career paths. Maybe they're studying another career. Now they want to change the business, but they're scared because they feel like they were not going to have a supporting system. They're not going to find another girls that wants to do the same as them. And tell them something that you might want them to know, or that you would have liked somebody else to tell you when you were coming here. You would have liked somebody like you to tell you, hey, I am here. Look at me. If I can do it, you can do it too.
I think I would say it's going to sound funny, but it's don't be afraid to be cringy. Like, honestly, sometimes we're also kind of like put in this type of like mold that we have to fit in, and especially like women. It's a tougher mold. So don't be afraid to be cringy and go over the top, talk to professors, go to the networking events you want to go to, be the most annoying person in the room, but that gets you places. I've always seen the annoying person getting places. So do that. And also I think we're always gonna have certain pressures and we're always gonna have certain boundaries. It's not gonna change. I don't think it's gonna change. We've moved along a lot, but I don't think it's gonna stop completely. People are always gonna have opinions and misconceptions. So the worst part is kind of believing that yourself and kind of thinking that as a woman you're not enough. Like, the problem is not people, the problem is your own thinking. So I also remember I went to a talk not long ago, and it was also a women's panel, a Latino women's panel, and she said, if you're afraid of being the cringy one, take your friend that's the one that's cringy. Like, we always have that loud, funny friend that's confident, so take her. Surround yourself with people that inspire you, and especially make them your friends. Ask them, how do you do it? How do you get past that? Do you have anything? Do you want to come with me? Because honestly, we sometimes forget that we're not alone in this path. And even though it's going to be hard, it's easier when you are with a friend that you love and that is going to be there to support you. So that's what I would tell myself or any other person that is starting their career in business, is even though it might seem like there's never an end, there's always going to be one, and there's always going to be somebody beside you willing to take that step with you.
And that's so important to highlight now that you've said that. A lot of people, a lot of girls especially, they think that other girls are their competition.
Yeah.
And we have to start to see this as girls are our companions. They are the ones who understand most of what we're going through, because we have similar expectations, we have similar experiences. So it's important to create a supporting system. Girls are your supporting system. So you shouldn't see another girl as your main competition. Like, if there are two social butterflies inside a class or two leaders, you can have them both. Just learn one when it's time for you to go up and when it's time for me to be a little down, and just have a balance. And that person that you might see as your competition can be your best friend tomorrow. Try and be the one who just puts the guards down and try, like, can we be friends? Because I know we're like in this kind of like competitive environment because we're the only two girls in this group or the only two girls in this class. But let's just be friends. Because that's even more powerful. Understanding that another girl is your support and your push to go up, instead of that girl that pushes you down, is just going to make you more and more powerful.
I would add to that, which was a great answer. I would add to that to give yourself time. Yes, you know what? It's going to be scary, but we don't get change and we don't get to step up and step out if we don't get out of our comfort zone. So yes, it is scary, but you should do it. It is your time to believe in yourself. I think number one, it's believe that you can do it. This is something that men actually have, that they do believe that they can do it, even though they haven't done it before. They don't have experience on something. So yes, believe that you can do it, and while it's gonna be scary, give time to yourself. Try to find those activities, those people around you, and eventually you're gonna look at yourself 1 year later after you're done. I mean, I'm talking about masters, right? Type of programs at Hult, which is 1 year long, and you're gonna see the amount of growth that you've gone through.
Yeah.
So, with this amazing words, we're gonna close this live, and I am so happy for what has happened here. I just feel so peaceful. I was so excited when we started, and I was like, I'm so excited for what's gonna happen this. But I just right now, I feel like my heart just it's jumping because I know that we're being inspiration to other girls. I know that out there are girls who are watching us and are just saying, okay, so I can do this because they did it. So I can definitely do it.
You can
Thank
definitely
you
do.
for sharing this space with me. Thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for sharing your stories because you impact people. And thank you for using your voice to impact others, including me, because you're both inspirations to me because I'm younger than them. And I'm just starting this journey, and it's been a rocky journey. But I know because I see you guys, and you just serve at this kind of like really big inspiration because I know that if they can make it, both Latino girls, I can make it too. What is stopping me? So thank you very much. And thanks everyone who joined us in this live. Thank you everyone who's here and who stayed throughout the whole time. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
you.